was living by, a code. And that code was, get them before.
I was living by a code. Get them before they get you. That's how Big U, once a feared figure in LA's gang scene and later a self-proclaimed mentor to Nipsey Hussle, described his mindset. But when Nipsey was gunned down in 2019, the whispers began. Was Big U just a mentor, or something much more sinister? For years, he stayed silent. Then, in 2021, he finally spoke. And what he said and didn't say only deepened the mystery. Now, in 2025, with Big U under federal indictment and new voices accusing him of orchestrating Nipsey's murder, one question won't die.
We got no beef. Right. Period. We never stopped talking. We didn't go 2 days with nothing. We didn't have nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Right. All the way up until he signed a deal with Atlantic Records.
For years, whispers about Big U's possible connection to Nipsey Hussle's tragic death have stirred tension in the streets and on social media. Yet, through all the noise, Big U kept a tight lid on his side of the story, ever confirming, never denying, just silence. That silence stretched on until 2021, nearly 2 years after Nipsey's murder. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, he opened up in a rare, revealing moment on the widely followed podcast Drink Champs. His comments sparked fresh debate. Why speak now after so long? And what could be pushing him to finally break his quiet stance? After years of denial, the timing raised more questions than answers.
Promoting Victory Lap on my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All these weirdos who became Nipsey fans, they weren't promoting this. I'm the one promoting.
In a moment that demanded clarity, Big U finally tackled the swirling rumors head-on. With calm conviction, he put it plainly, "We ain't got no beef. Period." His tone left no room for doubt. Any suggestion of bad blood between him and Nipsey Hussle, he insisted, was pure fiction. Big U described their bond as solid and supportive, not strained. Even as Nipsey's fame skyrocketed, during the same revealing conversation, he offered a window into their relationship, one marked by consistent contact and mutual respect. According to Big U, they stayed in touch regularly right up until Nipsey inked a major deal with Atlantic Records, a pivotal moment in his career. Far from causing a rift, Big U claimed that Nipsey actually flew him out to New York to celebrate the milestone together. If true, this personal gesture paints a very different picture than the one drawn by speculation. It suggests unity, not division, at a critical turning point in Nipsey's rise. To push back against growing suspicions, Big U pointed to a powerful piece of evidence: his role in Nipsey Hussle's Rap N***S video, the lead single from the iconic Victory Lap album. According to him, that appearance wasn't just symbolic, it was proof of support. "I was the one promoting Victory Lap on Instagram and Facebook," he emphasized, visibly frustrated. "These so-called fans, these weirdos, weren't there promoting it like I was." Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Joseph Askidum, was more than a rapper from South Central. He was a visionary. His raw motivational mixtapes like The Marathon and the Grammy-nominated Victory Lap made him a voice for change. But his impact reached far beyond music. He reinvested in his own Crenshaw neighborhood, opening the Marathon clothing store and backing local ventures. His dream was simple but powerful: ownership as a means to uplift his community. Behind Nipsey's rise, Big U Eugene Henley claimed to be a foundational figure. Once entrenched in gang life as a member of the Rollin 60s Crips, his path took a turn after serving 13 years in prison. He re-emerged focused on mentorship and empowerment. In interviews, Big U portrayed himself not as a passive observer, but an active force behind Nipsey's success. He said he promoted Nip's work tirelessly online, and even spent 5 days in the studio collaborating on a mixtape that never saw the light of day. According to Big U, their bond was more than professional, it was personal, deep, and enduring. But in that same emotional Drink Champs interview, Big U didn't just defend himself, he attacked the credibility of those accusing him. He painted the rumor spreaders as opportunists, exploiting Nipsey's death for clout and money. "These people," he said, "aren't trying to find the truth. They're just chasing a check." He reserved special contempt for online personalities who he believed were distorting reality and using Nipsey's name as a tool for manipulation. Still, one conspiracy theory refused to die: that Big U had a connection to Eric Holder, also known as Shitty Cuz, the man ultimately convicted of murdering Nipsey Hussle. Big U shut that down in no uncertain terms. "I don't know him," he stated flatly, explaining that at 54, he simply didn't mix with the younger generation of gang members. He urged the public to think critically who gains from fanning the flames of conspiracy. He even went further, declaring that he was the only one who truly honored Nipsey while he was alive, a claim meant to underline his role as a genuine supporter, not an enemy. But by 2025, the narrative had twisted yet again, and this time, Big U found himself in serious legal jeopardy. Federal prosecutors brought sweeping RICO charges against him, accusing him of running a criminal enterprise. Among the most damning claims was a link to the 2021 murder of up-and-coming rapper Rayon Williams, raising renewed suspicions about Big U's past and casting a darker light on his alleged involvement in other violent acts. The situation escalated when rapper SKG, formerly of Death Row Records, stepped forward with explosive allegations. In interviews, she didn't mince words, accusing Big U not only of being involved in Nipsey's murder but of running a pattern of abuse, extortion, and manipulation within both the music industry and the streets. Her claims added gasoline to an already raging fire. Under mounting pressure, Big U recorded what he described as a final message before surrendering to authorities. "This might be my last video," he said, visibly emotional. He explained that federal agents had just raided his homes, broken down doors, and even harassed his son at football practice. "They're saying I'm a fugitive," he added. Yet, despite the chaos, he denied any wrongdoing. In that heartfelt address, Big U focused less on the Nipsey accusations and more on what he described as a systemic attack on his efforts to better his community. "I'm going to turn myself in," he said, "but I didn't do nothing." He portrayed himself as a victim of a society quick to punish black men who try to uplift others. "This is the price of being black and trying to help your community," he said with quiet intensity. "You're guilty not because of what you've done, but because of how people feel about you online. And the internet runs wild with y'all promote it?" Perhaps the most revealing part of Big U's 2025 public response wasn't what he said, it was what he left unsaid. Despite serious allegations resurfacing that directly tied him to Nipsey Hussle's murder, especially those from industry insider SKG, Big U never explicitly addressed them in his pre-surrender video or any other statements from that time. This omission was especially noticeable given his strong public denials back in 2021. The contrast left many fans and commentators wondering why avoid the topic now. When we look at Big U and Nipsey's history, it becomes clear their relationship was layered and hard to define in black and white terms. There's no denying Big U's early involvement in Nipsey's rise, guiding him through the rough realities of South Los Angeles while helping him gain traction in the music world. Both men were associated with the Rollins 60s neighborhood Crips, and Nipsey himself frequently acknowledged Big U's role as a mentor during critical moments in his career. Still, like many close relationships born in tough environments, theirs had its rough patches. One incident in particular, a 2011 altercation involving Nipsey, his brother Black Sam, and LAPD in a parking lot hinted at tension behind the scenes. Though details remain limited, the event suggested their relationship may have experienced serious strain, even as they continued presenting a united front publicly. Big U, for his part, has long promoted himself as a figure of positive change through his nonprofit, Developing Options. He's worked to steer young people away from gang life, often appearing in community efforts that aligned with Nipsey's own vision for neighborhood uplift. This duality, street credibility mixed with civic outreach, added layers of complexity to how the public viewed their bond. SKG steps forward while Eric Holder was ultimately convicted of Nipsey's murder. Another voice has recently brought new accusations into the spotlight. Alicia Choice, known professionally as SKG or SAG, a night girl, has publicly claimed that Big U was connected to Nipsey's death. Her involvement in the LA hip-hop scene goes back decades, and her allegations came to the forefront in the wake of Big U's March 2025 RICO arrest. Some questioned the timing of her claims. Was she exploiting Big U's legal troubles to gain attention? Or did she finally feel safe enough to speak out? According to SKG, the fear was real, rooted in personal trauma. In a December 2023 interview with Tasha K., SKG accused Nipsey of setting her up to be physically attacked by Big U while she was pregnant. "He jumped on me," she recalled. "He lured me over to Nipsey Hussle's shop, beat me up, made me go to another part of the neighborhood, and I got jumped by 3 girls. I still have a scar on my back from that incident." According to her, the violence stemmed from a previous situation in which Big U felt embarrassed during a meeting at Last Day radio station. She went on to explain her account further in a No Jumper interview, stating that she had been working at KDAY and had introduced both Nipsey and Big U to her professional network there. That connection, she claimed, had unintended and dangerous consequences. Whether SKG's accusations are grounded in truth or not, they've added new intensity to the public scrutiny surrounding Big U. Her voice has become a polarizing element in an already tangled web of speculation, loyalty, and pain. According to SKG, tensions with Big U escalated after a business disagreement over a community project. Weeks later, she says Nipsey Hussle called her, asking for promotional posters she had made for him. When she arrived at his shop, what happened next, she claims, was an ambush. "I walk in the shop. Him and Fats, there at the counter," she recalled. "I walk up, I'm talking to him, and I just hear the click, click. And I just knew it's a setup." When asked if the sound meant someone had drawn a weapon, she clarified, "No, click, click. They closed the door, locked it." This isn't a new accusation. SKG has reportedly told this story for years, alleging that Nipsey and his friend, Stephen Fats Donaldson, orchestrated the attack, which ended with her being physically beaten by Big U. The consistency of her account lends it some weight. Still, it raises the question, why didn't she pursue legal action at the time? Interestingly, despite the violence she describes, SKG says she and Nipsey eventually reconciled. During that conversation, she warned him he might be in danger. "Something's going to happen to you if you don't move from over here," she told him. When he asked why she felt that way, she responded, "Because they don't respect you." She discussed this conversation in an April 1, 2025 appearance on the No Jumper podcast, suggesting that she sensed danger looming around Nipsey even before his murder. Regardless of their rocky past, SKG says she was deeply hurt when he was killed in 2019. Proof, she argues, that her feelings were more complicated than bitterness alone. After Big U's March 2025 arrest on unrelated RICO charges, SKG's accusations intensified. In a March 21 interview with TMZ, she directly implicated Big U in Nipsey's murder, saying, "Big U definitely has something to do with the killing." She called for justice and expressed hope that Big U would eventually be charged in connection to Nip's death. As of May 1, 2025, law enforcement has made no such connection. SKG's claims challenge the accepted narrative of Nipsey's murder. While Eric Holder was convicted as the gunman, she argues he wasn't acting alone, that he was merely the one who pulled the trigger on behalf of someone else. When asked why she's so confident about Big U's role, SKG alluded to insider knowledge, saying, "The public would be shocked when the details come out." Her theory points to jealousy, claiming that Big U couldn't handle Nipsey's rising influence and independence. The timing of these renewed accusations, right after Big U's federal indictment, has led some to question her motives. Critics say her claims are opportunistic, lacking hard evidence. Supporters point out how long she's been telling the same story, arguing that her consistency suggests authenticity. It's also notable that during their reconciliation, SKG says Nipsey denied setting her up. That denial hints at a more complex dynamic, possibly one where Nipsey wasn't the mastermind, but got caught in a dangerous situation with people he couldn't fully control. SKG's allegations extend far beyond Nipsey's death. In multiple interviews, she's described Big U as a long-standing source of fear in the Crenshaw community. She claims he used intimidation, extortion, and violence to maintain power, and that his arrest in 2025 finally gave her the courage to speak publicly. "I feel safer now," she said. If Big U had reason to target Nipsey, there are a few possibilities. One is financial. By the time Victory Lap was released, Nipsey had become an independent powerhouse. He was opening businesses, forming alliances beyond his early circle, and asserting more control over his brand. In the music industry, rising independence can threaten those used to holding influence over an artist's career. Another possible motive is community clout. Nipsey wasn't just successful, he was transforming his neighborhood, becoming a respected symbol of positive change. That kind of authentic respect can be threatening to those who built reputations on fear and dominance. And finally, there's the unresolved history between the two men. Their 2011 conflict, reportedly a physical altercation involving Nipsey, his brother Black Sam, and the LAPDIT, have left behind hard feelings. While they appeared to make peace by 2016, deep grudges don't always vanish, especially when pride, money, and influence are involved. As of now, Big U has not been charged in connection with Nipsey Hussle's death. Eric Holder remains the only person convicted for the murder, and he is currently serving time for it. It's still unclear whether SKG's claims will prompt a formal investigation or lead to new developments. In his interviews, Big U has spoken, often about redemption, legacy, and how he wants to be remembered. "I don't want the only thing people remember about Big U to be negative," he said. "I want to be balanced." Still, not everyone is convinced. Critics have raised doubts about SKG's credibility, pointing out her close ties to Suge Nida, polarizing figure known for controversy and violence in the hip-hop industry. Others suggest her motives may involve personal vendettas or long-standing feuds rather than a pure pursuit of justice. But regardless of where the truth lies, this situation reflects a deeper, recurring theme in hip-hop: the blurred lines between mentorship and manipulation, loyalty and control, respect and intimidation. It also underscores the complex power dynamics that continue to shape the lives of artists behind the scenes. Nipsey Hussle's death was a devastating blow not just to his family, but to the culture. He was more than a rapper. He was a visionary who reinvested in his neighborhood, uplifted those around him, and modeled a new path to success that didn't involve abandoning your roots. His murder left a void that music alone can't fill. It forced the hip-hop world to look in the mirror and ask some difficult questions about power, trust, legacy, and what happens when the people trying to change the game become targets in it. While it's common for artists to receive increased attention after their death, the response to Nipsey Hussle's passing went far beyond typical posthumous interest. His death created a wave of tributes, reflections, and community action that reflected just how deeply his influence had spread. One of the most powerful tributes came from Kendrick Lamar. In his 2022 track, The Heart Part 5, Kendrick used deepfake technology to transform into the image of Nipsey while rapping from his perspective. This was more than a homage, it was an artistic effort to let Nipsey's voice continue speaking, expressing unresolved thoughts about life, legacy, and impact. Kendrick had known Nipsey for years, and at Nipsey's memorial, he shared a heartfelt letter recalling their early touring days, revealing a bond formed during their rise through Los Angeles' underground scene. Other artists also honored Nipsey through music. Snoop Dogg, Big Sean, and Nipsey Blue each released tribute songs. Big Sean's deep reverence, in particular, reflected the sense of loss the hip-hop community felt. The 2020 Grammy Awards included a moving performance featuring DJ Khaled, John Legend, Meek Mill, Roddy Ricch, and YG, artists who knew Nip personally and respected his mission, but the impact went far beyond music. Nipsey's death became a catalyst for unexpected peace efforts in Los Angeles. Leaders from rival gangs in LA and Compton came together in the weeks after his murder, resulting in ceasefires and peace walks involving hundreds of people. The last time such unity had been seen on that scale was after the 1992 LA riots. That someone who came from gang culture could inspire that kind of unity, even in death, speaks volumes about the transformation he had undergone and the respect he had earned. His business ventures didn't stop with his passing either. The Marathon clothing store remained open. In September 2019, the AM store opened on Crenshaw Boulevard, continuing his mission of community-focused entrepreneurship. Puma also released a Marathon clothing collection, with proceeds going to the neighborhood Nip Foundation, an organization set up to fund youth development and community initiatives Nipsey cared about. This kind of business model has since influenced other artists, who now look to build brands that serve their neighborhoods rather than just cash in on fame. Nipsey's legacy shifted the industry conversation from endorsement deals to ownership, from vanity labels to lasting infrastructure. The city of Los Angeles recognized his contributions as well. Over 50 murals honoring him went up across the city. The intersection of Slauson Avenue and Crenshaw Boulevard, where his store and outreach work were based, was renamed Ermia's Nipsey Hussle Asgedam Square. In 2022, the Hyde Park Metro Station was also dedicated in his name, and he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. These permanent markers reflect his status not just as a rapper, but as a civic icon. Even Nipsey's love of reading became part of his enduring influence. Community members created local chapters of the Marathon Book Club, inspired by the books Nipsey recommended in interviews. These groups serve as spaces where people explore entrepreneurship, personal development, and Black empowerment, elements of Nipsey's vision. For many, this intellectual legacy is just as powerful as his music. His story has also been preserved through media. TV shows like All American referenced him, and a Netflix documentary co-produced by Ava DuVernay was announced to ensure his story reaches future generations. His message crossed into sports too. NBA star Russell Westbrook dedicated a historic 20-20-20 game to Nipsey just days after his death, a tribute layered with meaning for those who understood the symbolism. Most importantly, Nipsey's death sparked deeper conversations in hip-hop about violence, gang ties, and the responsibilities artists have to their communities. Many began questioning whether staying connected to the streets was truly necessary to maintain authenticity, or if, as Nipsey showed, there was another way to lead and inspire. What sets Nipsey apart is that he wasn't just remembered for his music, he was remembered for what he was building. His philosophy, in the phrase, "the marathon continues," grew into a movement. It became a model for development rooted in community leadership, not gentrification. Instead of leaving the neighborhood to find success, he invested in it, offering a new blueprint for progress. There's a painful irony that Nipsey's message reached a wider audience after his death than it might have in life. His murder brought national attention to the challenges of trying to uplift a community while still being vulnerable to the dangers within it. He was caught in the very contradiction he spent his life trying to resolve: how to stay present without becoming a target. What might he have achieved if he had lived longer? We'll never know. The businesses he would have grown, the artists he would have mentored, the ideas he would have spread, all cut short at 33. His death wasn't just the loss of a musician, it was the silencing of a visionary. Though Eric Holder was convicted for the killing, questions remain. Was it truly a personal dispute, or part of something larger? Allegations from people like SKG against figures like Big U suggest that many believe the official story doesn't tell the full truth. Whether those claims lead anywhere legally is uncertain, but they do point to a deeper mistrust in how power operates, especially in communities where silence has too often protected violence. In the end, Nipsey Hussle's most lasting contribution may be the way he expanded what hip-hop could mean. He proved you could be commercially successful and still be grounded in service. That you could uplift your block while building generational wealth. That street credibility could evolve into civic leadership. His death left behind a blueprint and a challenge. The marathon continues. After his death, countless profile pictures turned blue, Nipsey's signature color. But this wasn't just mourning, it was alignment. It showed that people weren't just grieving the man, they were embracing the philosophy, a belief that individual success only matters when it creates opportunities for others. That mindset has left a lasting imprint on hip-hop. More artists are now thinking beyond streams and sales. They're looking at how many jobs they've created, how many businesses they've started, how many lives they've touched. It's a shift Nipsey helped spark. As for the complex dynamics between Nipsey, Big U, and the unresolved questions around his death, some answers may never come. Allegations, contradictions, and silences still surround that day in 2019. But what remains undeniable is what Nipsey Hussle achieved in life. He changed hip-hop's understanding of what an artist can be. He showed that music can be a tool, not just for expression, but for empowerment, for ownership, for change. And that's a wrap. If you found this story meaningful, check out the videos on your screen for more deep dives into hip-hop's most important voices. Thanks for watching. Until next time.